against Collins to get us back in the game. Hayden is an academic all-district selection, but also an academic football selection. He is attending Glenn next year, and I can't wait to see what the world brings you. Good luck.
Last but not least, quarterbacks. All right, we're going to go by age here, guys. So, Lane Stockton, come on up. Lane finished the season as a freshman, obviously. We moved him up for the playoffs. Had a couple of big snaps due to some injuries, but had a phenomenal freshman year. Really excited about what Lane's going to bring for us in the future. We're going to compete for the spot next year, but so far has done a great job. Really excited about what you're going to bring to the table. Great job, Lane. Reed Odell. Reed Odell did a great job for us all year. These three guys that really all four that I'm going to talk about, one of the things that we take a lot of pride in, I take a lot of pride in, that people don't always realize is what we do with our scout team and what we do with our young quarterbacks is on purpose. There's more defining characteristics that we find out from young men playing in those positions, and I know that we were joking earlier about Braxton, but there's an enormous amount of toughness that we find out about young kids during those situations and find out what they're going to do in pressure situations. I can think of a whole handful of times that Jake Farrell and some of those guys that turned out to be big-time players for us, going against some phenomenal defensive players, really found what we were going to find in the future. And I mean, looking in the crowd, I see Reed Bowman nod his head, because I remember still to this day when he was a sophomore and we were going, that kid is going to play for us one day at a big spot, and he absolutely did. Reed Odell is no different. During those moments, played all year, ended up getting hurt in the last, the week 9, week 10, but had a phenomenal year again. Is competing for the spot for next year, but could not be more proud of the 2020 season you had. Great job, Reed. Tyler Torres. Tyler played on and off varsity, JV. Had a really good year all the way around. Stepped in and played some defense at the end, but also held for us during the playoff run. You don't realize how important those points are, how important that position is until something goes wrong. And stepped in, and again, those pressure situations were pretty huge. And again, could not be more proud of what he's bringing to the table in 2021, as well as just the competition that he brings. Fierce competitor. Really excited about these three guys competing for the spot for next year. Great job, Tyler. Colin Dunbar. Colin Dunbar. From the very beginning, Colin has been right there with everything that he could. After the 2019 season, he came and said, "Coach, what can I play? I went on the field, what can I play?" And we put him at sniffer, we put him at receiver, we put him at everything that we could think of. Did a great job, ended up having a couple of injuries right at the beginning of the fall. Knee injury, right? Was it knee? Yeah, knee. Ended up at the very end, hurting his finger, and just unbelievable. This young man, anything that we asked him to do, I'm convinced that if I asked him to tear down the wall, he'd figure out how to do it. And just unbelievable character. Did a great job for us holding. Did a great job for us. Anything that we asked him, he played a big part of our kickoff return team. Was absolutely unbelievable. Will be missed. I miss you already. So, Colin Dunbar, thank you so much for everything you did for the program. I missed something there, Colin. Going to Oklahoma. Studying something really smart. Going into dentistry, I know that. So again, Colin, great job. All right, last but not least, the Colton Marvel. All right, Colton. This one's gonna be hard. This one's gonna be really hard for me. And last year, I remember looking at listening at the banquet to Coach Woodard talk about Logan Kyle and got choked up, and I was like, man. And now I'm in that same situation talking about Colton. Pretty unbelievable, actually. So just Just a couple of stats here, because, and again, it's more than stats, but in 2020, he was 114 of 180, 2,092 yards and 24 touchdowns. Rushing, 65 carries, 404 yards, 4 touchdowns, and one two-point conversion. So in 2020, he was responsible for 2,500 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 1 2-point conversion. In his career at Tomball Memorial, he was 301 for 477 with 57 touchdowns, 5,155 yards. Rushing, he had 188 carries for 1,096 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 2-point conversion. He is by far the winningest quarterback in school history. He owns every quarterback record that exists. Colton, the list goes on and on. I could not be more proud. Thank you, Colton. Quarterbacks. All right, so the real fun begins. The real fun begins. Can I now have Coach Kelly to present the Defensive Wildcat Heart Award?
All right, so this award is going to a guy who exemplifies just that heart and lots of it. This is a guy who fought tooth and nail this past season. He gave this team everything he had. Week after week, he battled some of the biggest and strongest offensive linemen around. And week after week, he was the one that was left standing. Words can't really describe the respect and admiration I have for this young man. I truly hope he understands how big of a part he was in the accomplishments of this team and the feats that he has personally conquered. This guy totaled 42 tackles, 10 tackles for a loss, 6 sacks, 3 quarterback pressures, and a fumble recovery. He is an honorable mention defensive lineman selection, along with an academic all-district selection. He is a guy that I'm proud as hell to coach. Your Defensive Heart Award goes to Andrew Davis.
All right, to introduce your Offensive Wildcat Heart Award, Coach Hoffman.
I have the pleasure of announcing the Offensive Wildcat Heart Award. Like I stated earlier, stats don't mean a whole lot for this award. And this gentleman's contribution to our team is exemplified by the fact that I don't need to say any of his stats. He is the heart of our offense. Without him, we probably would not have been as good as we were. I like to joke with him all the time about you're just a glorified guard playing running back. And, he didn't like that a whole lot, you know. Hopefully it motivated him a little bit, because when he started playing like one of those offensive linemen and put people on their butts, we really started going. I know I'm going to miss him. He was a 2-year letterman, 3 years, sophomore, junior, and now his senior year. I know Richie's going to miss him a lot, because without him, I'm not sure Richie's going to be able to find the hole anymore. He followed him pretty much everywhere he went. But your Wildcat Heart Award goes to Mr. Reed Bowman.
All right, for the Special Teams MVP, Coach Henson.
All right, I get the pleasure of introducing the Special Teams MVP, and this young man is one of those guys that when the game's on the line, you want him in your corner. You want this guy at your back whenever there's a fight. He always found a way to be around the ball. He always found a way to just, how in the world did that happen? But he got it done. His hand was always around the football. He was always on the tackle. Other than what he did on that side of the field, he was always a leader. Every time his feet were on the turf. No further ado, Hayden Davis.
Now for the defensive MVP, Coach Herman.
This year's defensive MVP has played just about every position in our defense for the past 3 years. He is one of the smartest players I've ever coached. In 3 years on varsity, he developed into a great defensive player. We have been able to count on this player each week as we have moved him around to give us the best chance to stop offenses. To say we're going to miss this player would be a huge understatement. This season alone, he had 88 tackles, 5 sacks, and was named first team All-District. This season's defensive MVP is Alex Edmiston.
All right, offensive MVP. Offensive MVP. No shocker here. Colton Marlowe. So this is the hard part of the conversation. I just spoke about all the stats and all of the specifics. What is not able to be spoken, and what I'm trying to instill in the quarterbacks now, is the leadership that he was able to give this team. There's times that I came over and we scored a bunch of points and we did a lot of great things. And one day I said, Colton, it doesn't even seem like you're having fun anymore. And he said, we're supposed to win. We're supposed to score. That's what we do. And that's the kind of attitude that he had in his entire career. I wish that I could say in 4 years of being with Colton that there was always a great relationship with us. It took a really, really hard time between he and I for him to really start trusting that I was looking out for the best in him. And Colton, I could not be more proud of an individual here. How he battled back during a really, really tough sophomore year, and then coming to me before his senior year and saying some things about, the next level. Colton, I'm so proud of what you accomplished. I'm so proud. There's a picture in my office of Colton and I hugging after the Westbrook game, and he jokes all the time because he says, after every game after that, I'd go up there and hug him, and he'd say, no, because it made me look like I'm like this big, so I can't do that anymore. So, but again, one of my all-time favorite memories for all time. Colton, you've been one of the best I've ever coached. I could not be more proud. The offensive MVP of 2020, Colton Marlowe. Last but not least, the team MVP presented by Coach Woodard.
This is my second year being in a row to be able to present this award, so all you wide receivers, we've got to keep this rolling for the next couple of years because this is a lot of fun. Now that all the awards are passed out, everybody kind of knows who this is, so Joseph Manjack, come on up. Manjack showed up in the spring of his sophomore year as a tall, skinny kid that could run a little bit, and he's grown into what you see here. In the past 2 years, here's his list of his accomplishments. 115 catches for 2,254 yards, 29 touchdowns, 3 two-point conversions. 98 rushes for 1,239 yards, 17 touchdowns, 2 two-point conversions. 4 games playing quarterback, 29 of 51 for 566 yards and 7 touchdowns. 16 punts for a 40.6 yard average, and 8 of those down inside the 20-yard line. 4,334 all-purpose yards, 53 touchdowns, 5 two-point conversions. First 1,000-yard receiver and 1,000 rusher in the same season in school history, and he always seemed to have his biggest games in the times we needed him the most. For example, his school record, 290 yards receiving, on a school record, 15 catches in a single game on his birthday in 2019 versus Vista Ridge. He also owns the school record for receiving touchdowns in a season at 16, and has 3 of the 10 longest receptions in school history. He was a unanimous 2020 District 15-6A overall MVP, 2020 unanimous first-team All-District wide receiver selection, finalist for the 2020 Houston Touchdown Club Player of the Year, 2020 Texas Sports Writers first-team All-State All-Purpose Player. He was a 2019 unanimous first-team All-District wide receivers. There's a lot of teams that we've played the last 2 years. They're excited that he's graduating, and we're sad that he's leaving us. But Joseph Manjack, fight on.